Have you ever just wanted a peek into other people's gardens? I recently had the chance to do just that, and I found it to be such a great source of inspiration. A couple of weeks ago, I shared a video where I took you along to visit 3 home gardens that I discovered through volunteering for a fundraising garden tour in my town. Well, on the actual day of the event, I had the chance to visit 3 more gardens, and that's what I'll be sharing with you today. There's so much inspiration to be found, from beautiful shade plant combinations to long borders that showcase rhythm and repetition in such a striking way. There's lush greenery, clever ideas, and a whole lot of charm. So come along with me as we tour 3 more beautiful home gardens. Hi, it's Steph, and today I am volunteering at the Coastal Neighbors Garden Tour. Here is the check-in table, and we'll be greeting guests and giving them some flyers. And my shift is over at 12, and then we will go ahead and explore the rest of the gardens on the list. And I'm so excited to take you along. We're at the first tour of the day, and here in the entrance they have this ligularia with some hostas and some lilies and a border of oak leaf hydrangeas, which are so beautiful, and they repeated that all the way down. They're getting ready to bloom, and this is going to be magnificent when they do. Look at this gorgeous shady corner. So that pattern repeats with the ligularia, and they have some Sun King Aurelia in the back there, some lady's mantle. Gorgeous. Some Hakanakloa, or Japanese forest grass. But you see how you can add so much color to a shady garden, friends, through the use of different foliage colors and texture. This is lovely. And that looks like some eupatorium in the back there with the dark foliage. I have one of those in my garden as well, but look at the size of this Hakanakloa. It is stunning. Some astilbe, and it repeats around the circle here and over by this really beautiful stone wall, which is very customary here in New England. Some more hosta. And this looks really beautiful when you just take the same plants and you repeat them over and over again. It gives you that rhythm and repetition. There's some lungwort or pulmonaria here with some ferns. And some more Alchemilla mollis, or lady's mantle, backed by some ferns. What a beautiful contrast in texture. And then there's even some variegated Solomon seal in the back there. Japanese painted fern tucked in there, and a dogwood that is just finishing blooming. What a beautiful shade combination. So there's a astilbe that looks like an ink box holly or an ilex in the back, because the leaves are different than the boxwood. And then some astilbe and gorgeous Japanese painted ferns, which the astilbe looks like the color of the veining on these Japanese painted ferns.
That's a pretty fern.
Very pretty. And some Hakanakloa. This is the areola, which is the variegated green and yellow variety. And then on the opposite side of the bulkhead, they've repeated that pattern with the astilbe and the Japanese forest grass with the painted fern. And there is some lady's mantle, or Alchemilla mollis, that is blooming. I really love the way that that plant kind of just spills over with those chartreuse blooms. Very pretty. So this is a mostly shady area based on the plant selections here. Some hosta, and it looks like some dianthus. A Japanese maple in the corner. And lots of beautiful Russian sage. Looks like there's some thyme, or maybe it's just moss growing between the pavers. and a really pretty pergola. Look at this repetition of the Hakonakloa, or the Japanese forest grass, the areola color. This is the variegated green and yellow, and they have it along the house here, lining this path under the pergola, and it looks beautiful. Look at that. Plants planted in mass like this make such a beautiful visual impact. It's really striking. And then there is a golden blooming type of sedum and some European ginger. And there's also some geranium, perennial geraniums in bloom. Might be the Roseanne. Here is the lower area off of the patio, and lots of ladies' mantle. So beautiful. With the variegated Solomon seal. Onto the upper level of the patio, there is a grassy landing with a water feature. It's like a low bowl style planter that they've made a little fountain, and it is surrounded by this beautiful variegated Solomon seal. And just look at the bark on this old hinoki. It is so pretty. A beautiful blue spruce. This is the globosa. So it's growing in a mounded habit. And some iris. Some more geraniums and sedums and veronica. The peonies are done blooming now. And right here on the side of the house, they also have this terraced garden with lots of perennials. There is some sea holly or euringium, some lavender, some coneflowers. These are tough plants that can take pretty dry soils and full sun. A beautiful orchard and vegetable garden. And some really pretty knockout roses and mophead hydrangeas. Now it is afternoon and they're pretty sad because it's very warm here in New England today, but they will perk up later on as soon as this heat wave passes. But what a beautiful hedge right here. Look at this. Hydrangeas. Gorgeous. Okay, we've arrived at garden number 2. Pretty aged arbor with some roses. There's a working farm right beyond the garden here. Some spirea in bloom. Lots of beautiful variegated Solomon seal. I actually have some in my garden as well. Makes a beautiful shade plant, and about a month ago or so it did have these little white blooms on the underside of the leaves. Very pretty, and you can see how over time it spreads to make a really nice, dense, almost ground cover. The deer do like it in my garden, so sometimes they will nibble on it. But I'm certain that they have deer here too, and theirs looks great, but it could be that they have so much you don't notice what's missing. Some more really pretty stone walls. And looks like a bunch of daylilies. Some really pretty homes on this tour. And this is a pretty long border of daylilies. Now these down here have a bunch of buds. and getting ready to bloom. But daylilies, fun fact, each flower only lasts a day, but there's usually tons of buds on one plant. And there are early season, mid-season, and late season bloomers. So if you like them, you can plant all 3 varieties and extend the amount of time that you have daylilies in bloom. It's like they're baling hay out there. Some beautiful nepeta and some drift roses and Russian sage. Look at this, they have these tropical hibiscus planted on either side of these steps leading up to a patio. And we were just discussing that here in my zone 6B, 7A, these are not hardy. These are tropical plants and they certainly would not withstand our winter climate. So one of 2 things, they're either covering these and offering them some winter protection, or they're being dug up and stored indoors over winter. I love when shrubs are planted this way, kind of creating a little path so that it provides a sense of mystery and you don't know what you're about to walk into. Someone had said, maybe in a book or somewhere along the line, that you shouldn't be able to see the whole garden in one glance. You should have a little sense of like mystery and intrigue as you're walking around. And that's a great way to create it, by having something that just obscures your view enough that you have to peek around the corner. Some beautiful lilies getting ready to bloom. And here's your reminder, friend, if you have lilies that are getting ready to bloom, make sure you spray those buds if you have deer in your garden, because they love lily buds. They're like candy. This looks like a grapevine. And some orange lilies and lots of alliums that are now done blooming. But even if you keep the allium heads up, they provide some visual interest in the garden. Look how pretty. The Shasta daisies are getting ready to go. Now these might be the lilies, the fulva lilies, or fulva lilies. They also call them ditch lilies. They're very pretty and vibrant, but they spread rapidly here in our area. Now this is phlox, and this is what powdery mildew looks like. You see that? That white substance on the foliage? And that can happen for a variety of reasons. More often than not, it's not properly spacing the plant so that it doesn't have proper airflow. I don't think that's the case here. It could be overhead watering, could be another reason. But it's interesting how this looks like a sunny border and there are some ferns growing here. And some geraniums. It looks like the deer have been after these geraniums too. You can always tell deer damage because it's a very blunt cut. They go after the geraniums in my garden. And there's another clump of lilies on either side of this stairway here. Really pretty borders all around the stone walls. Some foxgloves in here.
It says hornbeam
And some sedum.
hardwood trees in the birch family. American hornbeam.
Maybe the
Species of small hardwood tree in the genus Carpinus. I'm only weird.
Okay, you sure that's how you pronounce it?
Pinus? Pinus?
Very pretty. Those foxgloves are just on their way out now, but a week or 2 ago, they must have been gorgeous. They're still really pretty. Look at the vertical interest that they provide. Japanese painted ferns.
We're missing somebody.
And look at this, aruncus. This is also known as goat's beard. And it's part of the Astilbe family. Has a really pretty plume type bloom.
No, I have been to them. Yeah.
Look at that.
We're going to Quail Trail.
Catherine, is this a Stewardia or is this a silver maple?
It's
Oh, it looks like a Stewardia, doesn't it?
If it is, mine only have little tiny white flowers, but mine is like an eighth of the size of this one.
Wow, look at the bark on this. That is gorgeous. It almost has like a camouflage type bark. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Really beautiful tree.
No, it's just how the bark works. Yeah, good. Yeah. Well, this is a wonderful greenhouses and stuff, and so that's kind of fun. I mean, it is sort of sad because it's not full of wonderful plants. But
Gave me.
This pretty garden. So this is our third stop today.
That's new. That's the
There's a
latest
fairy
addition, 'cause I just
garden.
got back, I was like, what am I going to do with this? So I put the little flowers in the gray pots there, and it's
Cute. Nice idea.
yes. And then other things just sort of evolved. It started with the flat ones in the back that are silver. Got those at Yankee Candle out in Western Mass at the big Yankee Candle place, and spray painted them.
Is right now that are hiding amongst other things, so the deer haven't found them. Because I used to have hostas before I had a deer problem.
I think we all have a deer problem in town, as is evident by this fence here, right? This is actually easier than spraying because you don't have to worry if it rains. You don't have to worry about coming out and spraying like we have to do, right? You have a little bit of netting going on, right?
I have netting and I have more fencing this year because it lets me grow things that otherwise would just be deer food.
Right.
And I can't feed the deer.
No.
Not anymore.
The buffet is closed. This is a mixed sun garden. You can tell because they have shade plants around the edges with the hosta and the hellebore, some astilbe. And then as you get in the center, you can see they have some daylilies and coneflowers and even some daisies, Shasta daisies that are starting to bloom. Shasta daisies last up to 7 days in a vase. So if you like to cut flowers to bring inside, just change your water a couple of times. I find that I can get quite a long time out of them. Those are pretty. Do you think those are false sunflowers, Catherine? Heliopsis? Or a type of Rudbeckia? They're very pretty. They're nice golden color, very fluffy.
They look like perennial sunflowers, but is it too early for them?
I don't know. They're pretty though, right?
Yeah. Oh, here it says Heliopsis Tuscan Gold.
Oh,
Perennial sunflowers, like everything.
How nice that they labeled it.
Yeah. They are
So that's what we're looking at.
really striking.
Heliopsis Tuscan Gold. They're very pretty.
I wonder if they last a long time. Because it looks like it would be worth the investment if they lasted long. At the same time.
Such a pretty rustic structure, like a pergola. It looks like this could have been built from timber that they found in their own yard. Nice fire pit area with some Adirondack chairs. And I really like those panels. They look like they could be Corten steel. Very cozy spot.
Yeah, everybody's got their own style.
And look at this pretty low-growing evergreen. It's called a Siberian cypress. That is beautiful. Some more Corten steel sculptures. And some coneflowers. Some lilies and daylilies. And off to the side here they have some oak leaf hydrangeas, which I am wanting to add to my garden. I have a tiny itty bitty one with gold foliage called Honey.
All of the chips you're seeing came
And a
from the trees.
redbud.
I appreciate how you've got everything labeled. That's really nice.
Tiger
We're
eye.
gardeners, but still.
Sumac.
Oh,
This is wonderful. At this garden tour, they've labeled things, which is so helpful. The homeowner just said she was a school teacher and she still has her laminating machine, so that was put to good use. Now this looks beautiful in the fall. It gets all kinds of orange Really pretty fall color on the tiger eye sumac. And then Donald Wyman lilac. Either that one or that one. And then a really beautiful red bud, either the Ruby Falls. See how that red color contrasts so beautifully with all of the green. A leather leaf viburnum, and then it looks like a really cool cypress back there. And a maple, Japanese maple, and another daylily and rhododendron. Very pretty border. Now this property has been here. The home was built about 8 years ago, and they've started to work their way around the property with their borders. You can see there are some arborvitaes in the back there.
Home and we say, oh, this is a nice idea. But when you're alone doing stuff, this doesn't get done. My granddaughter's flying in Thursday night for my birthday.
Another pretty border here with some yarrow. That's the moonshine yarrow, which we've seen a couple of times today. It was very pretty. Has that silvery foliage with the yellow bloom. And I'm not sure, this is a sedum with that red veining. I'm not clear on the variety.
It's got a thick leaf. Very thick.
Yeah. The veining on it's really pretty. And then this is a pretty one too. This might be like a sun sparkler. The name's escaping me at the moment, but I really like the dark color. And another sedum. Sedum's a great plant for low water needs. If you don't want to water your garden too much, or if you have a tough spot that drains really well, full sun, sedums are great plants. Except, did the deer nibble on yours, Joanne? Sometimes the deer might snack on the sedum. But that looks like an iris in the middle there. Such a pretty log home style home. And they have this pallet with all of their figs that here in our zone have to be overwintered inside. It's always so inspiring to see how other people bring their spaces to life, each one with its own style and personality. Let me know in the comments what you loved most, or if you picked up any ideas you want to try in your own space. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.